How would you feel if you had to spend your entire life being someone you are not in order to be accepted and to fit in? Welcome! On this video, I'm going to be talking about autistic masking and answering the question, what is autistic masking? And are you hiding autistic traits? Maybe you don't even know it. Let's find out.
And now, here's your neurologically different host, Orion Kelly.
Hey, I'm Orion Kelly and I'm autistic. I was diagnosed autistic as an adult, so a later in life diagnosis, but I was born autistic. And since my diagnosis, I've decided to devote my life to advocating for autistic people and making the world a better place for the autistic community. I do podcasts, blogs, and these YouTube videos to increase understanding and acceptance of autistic people right across our broader worldwide community. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in learning more about, fantastic, you've come to the right place. Click that subscribe button and please, that notifications bell so you never miss another episode. And by subscribing to my channel, not only are you joining our community and never missing out on any more videos, but you're helping me reach more people. So I'd absolutely love it if you take the time to both subscribe to this channel, but also reach out to me on my socials. You can find me on Facebook, if you like the Orion Kelly page, or you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and go to my website, orionkelly.com.au. Bottom line, I'm trying to create understanding and acceptance of autistic people right across the planet. So if you can like my videos, thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, share, whatever. Just join me in reaching more people across the planet to help with understanding and acceptance of autistic people. All right, let's get started. What is autistic masking, and could you be camouflaging autistic traits? Now, this is really interesting. I am super excited about this video because autistic masking is something that all autistic people know about, but I'm not entirely sure if the non-autistic community really get their head around exactly the level and the stress and the pressure and the energy we expel on a daily basis to fit in. So let's start at the start. What is autistic masking? So masking is in essence camouflaging. Look at it like hiding. Okay, we are camouflaging what's going on inside us as an autistic person and how we appear or seem externally in social contexts. And autistic masking really is any effort to hide or suppress any autistic trait. You have to keep in mind that every aspect of an autistic person, for the most part, is different to non-autistic people. Some would call neurotypical people, but when we say that, we have to keep in mind there are people who are not autistic that are not neurotypical. So you kind of can't put them all in the same boat. Anyway, people that don't have autism simply see and experience the world differently to autistic people. Now you can't separate, in my opinion, you can't separate autism from an autistic person because you are only autistic because your brain is wired differently. It's a neurological disability, superpower. Okay, so take away your brain, well, I'm not entirely sure what kind of person you'll be. I don't want to go off on a rant there. I think it's entirely appropriate that anyone who is autistic refers to themselves in whatever way they feel comfortable. I 100% believe that. And from my point of view, I feel comfortable saying I'm autistic because I have a brain that's wired differently. But for my brain being different, I would not be autistic. Therefore, I am autistic. I don't have a normal brain, but also live with autism. You can't live with autism. You have an autistic brain, right? So you can't have a normal neurotypical brain and also have autism. Does that make sense? That's a case in point right there. I wasn't masking. I had things I wanted to say, things that interested me, my opinions, my interests. And I don't have the slightest idea if that's something you were interested in hearing about. That may have made you happy. That may have made you angry. Either way, I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't masking. So suppressing things like repetitive behaviors, stimming, or repetitive noises, or talking about your special interests or opinions until you're blue in the face, until people have literally left. These are things that you are masking. If you are suppressing those desires, you're masking. The real instinctual autistic you doesn't want to do that. Like me, I just want to talk about things I'm passionate about. I don't even think about it if you are or aren't passionate about it. I just assume, well, you'd have to be because I'm passionate about it and I'm going to tell you about it and you're going to enjoy that. It's in the holding back of me talking about my special interests and my passions to the point where you don't want to hear about it. It's in the holding back of that I'm masking, right? It's in the following your conversation. So it's the camouflaging, the hiding of our true autistic self, our autistic traits that we refer to as masking. That's autistic masking, not being ourselves, burying ourselves deep down. Okay, so we've got our head around what is autistic masking. And now we have to pose the question, why do autistic people mask? What's the point? Why bother? Why spend our entire lives acting like someone we're not? Personally, I think it's easy to answer the question, why do autistic people mask? I think it's extremely easy. It's to fit in. It's to be wanted. It's to feel accepted. It's to feel like part of the planet you live on. It's to gain friendship. This isn't rocket science. We're suppressing and masking our true selves because the majority of people on the planet, and by the way, that's just not strangers, that can be family and friends. Absolutely it can be. Don't accept us for our true selves. They only want the cookie cutter, sugar-coated version of ourselves. They don't want the real stuff, right? So in order to feel accepted and be connected with the community and to fit in, I know from my point of view, I'm simply forced to mask. I'm unable to be myself. In being myself, which for me is just a natural state, I will do things to people that's not my intention. So, anger, offend, upset, put out, put off, never good things. And that's the problem. So you're caught in the limbo of being yourself and never fitting in, never being accepted, or masking your true self to fit in, to be accepted. Forcing yourself to make eye contact when you're talking to someone. Masking. Why do you do it? So they don't think you don't listen, or you're not interested, or you don't care about that conversation, or you're rude. No, I'm autistic. I don't like eye contact. I'm forcing myself to make eye contact with my smartphone right now. So when you watch this video, it's like I'm looking at you. If you watch me, you notice I'm constantly resetting my eyes back up to the lens. They keep falling away and I keep putting them back up there. Suppressing your desire to talk about your special interest. Breaking news, most non-autistic people don't really care about my special interest. It could be different for other autistic people. For me though, my special interest clearly being, communication, podcasts, blogs, video, radio, that type of stuff. Not everyone really cares about the inner workings of all that. So I would suppress that, again, to fit in. Seeing someone that I don't really know, but I know they know someone close to me, like a partner or a family member, I force myself, because they usually interact first, wave, smile, say hello. I force myself to do the small talk with them, to talk to them, even though I don't want to. Why? Because as an autistic person, me personally, in my experience, I have social anxiety disorder. I feel uncomfortable talking around people or talking to people that I don't really know or that I'm not comfortable with or that I don't believe accept me. But I'm forcing myself to do this to make them feel better, to make them feel more comfortable, to make them not think, what is wrong with this guy? He just completely blew me off. Well, I didn't. I'm autistic. I'm masking my true self. Oh my goodness, I think I know that person. Hide behind this aisle, and then they'll go to there, and then you go to hide behind the next aisle, and then just drop your groceries and get out. Bottom line, autistic masking, for me personally, feels like a lifetime of hiding my natural habits and actions. A lifetime of not being able, for the most part, to be my true self. I don't choose to mask. It isn't my preference. I only mask because I have to. If the world understood me better and accepted me as an autistic person better, maybe I'd be able to be myself. Maybe they'd go, no, don't be offended by him. This is Orion. He's autistic. He's very upfront. He's very honest. it can come across brutal to non-autistic people, but he's only doing it for the right reasons. Now I'm talking about myself in the third person and it's kind of creepy, but you get my point, right? Clearly, my preference, as it is for every autistic person, is for the world to accept us and understand and embrace our true autistic selves and allow us to be ourselves with our many differences. How would you feel if you had to spend your entire life being someone you are not in order to be accepted and to fit in? Now, as an autistic person, I can only speak on behalf of my own personal experiences. And I say this in every video, and I'll say it again just in case I'm not clear with certain people. If you're watching this video, everything that I say about autistic people and my autistic journey draws from my experiences. I'm in no way, nor have I ever said I was, speaking on behalf of the autistic community. I say my goal is to help the autistic community by raising the level of understanding and acceptance in the broader community, but that's it. I'm using my experiences. So when I talk about things relating to autistic people, I'm drawing on my own experiences. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else. Now, with regards to masking, I have my own personal beliefs and theories about the connection between masking, as in basically camouflaging, hiding, acting like you're a normal person, with early interventions. Now, interventional therapies is something that most autistic children know all about. For autistic adults, intervention therapies aren't really as common. A good example, look at it like this. If I'm a child, like my 6-year-old son, he's diagnosed as autistic. Okay, soon as he receives that diagnosis, not only does he receive funding, but also he receives referrals to certain, what they call early intervention therapies. Things like OT, things like speech. Does that make sense? Psychology, physiotherapy. There's many therapies that a child is referred to, an autistic child is referred to. Okay, and they're called early intervention therapies. Now, for an adult, when you get a diagnosis like I did as a grown man, I was given a diagnosis, but that was it. I wasn't given funding or referrals or opportunities to go into the same level of therapies as kids were. But I lived that through my 6-year-old son. And my impression, frankly, with early intervention therapies for autistic kids, and this is just my experience with my 6-year-old son, is that at the crux of it, at the core of it, the way I saw it was all it was doing was trying to teach my 6-year-old autistic son, when he becomes autistic in an outward way, because he's always autistic, in a way that others can see, oh, he's not normal, we'll teach him how to look normal. We'll teach him how to try and cut that autistic stuff off and come across normal. Does that make sense? So from my point of view, the connection between early intervention or interventional therapies and masking is one and the same. The therapies at their core come across to me like they're just teaching autistic people how to not be autistic. Bottom line, early intervention or interventional therapies, in my opinion, can come across in some instances as pure acting classes. They, in my opinion, teach autistic kids or autistic people how to act in order to fit in. I've got one quick example from an autistic-based show that's very popular at the moment, a show called Love on the Spectrum. In this show, and I'm not going to critique this show, that's a whole other video, okay? We'll park all my issues with the show. Let's just stick to this one point. In this show, there is what you would class as a relationship coach, a counselor. Now, this particular person may well be a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal counselor. I'm not disagreeing with that. What I will disagree about is this. In Love on the Spectrum, this relationship coach, this counselor, in addition to some of the parents, were in effect teaching autistic people how to act on a date, as opposed to the standard advice I hear most non-autistic people give their kids, which is just be yourself. If they don't like you for you, they're not the right person. Just be you and they'll love you, mate. To here's how you must act on a date for your date to go well. I wholly disagree with the premise that you would need to coach autistic people how to not be autistic and how to act on dates so they in some way go well. In addition to that, what I found even more perplexing was on Love on the Spectrum, for the most part, the autistic people who went on dates with other autistic people. Not all, but for the most part. Why then do we need a relationship coach to come in and teach autistic people how to not be themselves and how to act on a date with another autistic person? Wouldn't we just say, like I said before, hey mate, you'll be fine, just be you. And if he or she doesn't like you for you, they're not the right person for you. We're teaching autistic people how to not be autistic, to date autistic people, and that's a show? By the way, I'm married, I have 2 kids. My wife is not autistic. She's neurotypical. I just found her, she found me, and we fit. So you may, as an autistic person, find another autistic person and you fit. But you may well find someone completely different to you and you may fit. Either way, if they don't like you for you, it's not going to work. The last point I want to make on early intervention or interventional therapies for autistic children and adults is a point, but also, I guess, a question, a way of helping you, again, develop some sort of level of understanding. How about if I said to you, if you are a neurotypical or non-autistic parent with non-autistic, potentially neurotypical kids, that as of tomorrow, you will need to enroll your child or children into regular, monthly, early interventional therapies so they can be taught how to act around autistic kids. Because I'm sorry, but they're just not behaving in the way that makes autistic kids comfortable. They just don't understand how autistic kids want them to act. They're just not very good at reading autistic kids. They're just not very good at talking to autistic kids. They're not very good around autistic kids. You know what? You neurotypical kids, you've got a lot of work to do. These autistic kids really don't want to have a bar of you. They don't understand you. They don't accept you. So what we're going to do, parents of non-autistic, neurotypical kids, we're going to get your kids to enroll in early intervention where we will effectively teach them how to act autistic so autistic people like them. How would that sit with you? I have a 6-year-old autistic son. What he needs is the entire community to develop a broader understanding of people with differences. Not just autistic kids, people with differences. Rather than getting to people with differences to learn how to act not so different around normal, non-autistic people. So a failure to mask can in some cases cause you to lose friends. Masking, keep friends. Not masking, lose friends. But it broadens out from that. As you grow in life, you will find, through my experience, that you go from losing friends when you are yourself, and that's really not your problem, that's their problem. But then it comes down to something a lot more serious, and that is masking and keeping jobs. It's one thing to say it's hard to mask 24/7 with your friends and your partners, right? Because you're a normal autistic person and the world isn't perfect and you're not perfect. You can't mask all the time. Imagine it in a job scenario though. With your friends, you usually as a rule hang out with them because you like them and you guys have fun together, right? And that's the same with partners. You like each other and you guys have fun together. But jobs aren't like that. Jobs are specific. They're task orientated. They're about discipline, timeframes, deadlines, workload. There's a lot of things that stress normal, everyday, non-autistic people. As an autistic person, masking in the workplace is even harder. But let's start at the start. If I didn't mask in my job interview, in other words, present a person they would like to hire, I would never get a job. And then if I get a job and I don't mask constantly, I would never keep my job. Now you could say, well, why don't you just tell them at the start you're autistic and then they'll treat you differently? And to that I would say, oh wow, what planet were you living on? I might move to that planet. Could you email me? Yeah, orionkelly.com.au. Email me the planet that was on and I'll move there tomorrow. There aren't many people hiring you because you say, hey, I'm autistic. Hey, join the team. Come and, hey. I present a front that's hireable. I get hired. I have the stresses we've talked about. And unfortunately, I'm unable to mask all the time. Now, as an adult in the workplace, my personal experiences, these are actual experiences that have actually happened due to stresses and pressures and sensory overload and all those things that an autistic person faces on a daily basis. I've had outbursts. I've been unable to control myself any further. I've melted down. I've shut down. So I've come across in ways that the HR department will say, oh, you can't act like that in a workplace. Oh, you can't treat people like that. In other words, what they were saying to me, if I was not autistic, is you need to behave. But if I'm autistic, what they're saying to me is you can't be autistic in this workplace, because none of that was controllable. What was controllable was the entire time I've masked, which, by the way, I could work at a workplace, right? Let's say 3 years. I work at a workplace for 3 years. And in 3 years, let's say I have, one a year. One a year where I can't mask any longer to the point where it actually is visible by people. Because you can drop the mask a lot at work and people won't know. But when you actually physically make an impact, right? 3 times in 3 years, well, that's 3 strikes and you're out. Gone. No job. See you later. 3 years of masking and working hard. 3 occasions in 3 years. 3 strikes and you're out. Autistic masking at its core is hiding, camouflaging an autistic person's true autistic traits. It's only done to fit in. It's only done to be accepted. It's only done for you if you're a non-autistic person. It is physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausting. It can lead to profound shutdown, profound meltdown, profound breakdown. And it's only done to fit in with the neurotypical world. And even after all that effort is expelled to mask our true autistic selves, inevitably, we still fail. We lose friends. We lose relationships. We lose jobs. The cost is never ending. Well, I hope this video on autistic masking has helped you in some way. It's provided you with insights or experiences or examples that have allowed you to develop a greater level of understanding and acceptance of autistic people, the whole point of my videos. If it has, please rate the video, thumbs up or thumbs down, comment on the video, share the video, and most importantly, so we can reach more people, I'd really appreciate it if you take the time to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notifications bell so you never miss another episode. And make sure you reach out on my socials, like the Orion Kelly page on Facebook, check me out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and go to my website, orionkelly.com.au. There on my website, you'll find links to all my podcasts, blogs, and these YouTube videos, and you can reach out and send me a message. Thank you so much once again for taking the time to check out this video. When you get the chance, check out the rest of my videos and share them with your family and friends. Until the next video, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.